Hello friends, in this video we will look at certain common mistakes that you make while you write your TAT stories. So the first and the most common mistake is that you tend to write stories which do not relate with the stimulus shown to you. So if the picture shows a particular object in that, let's say there is a pistol on the table or there's a uniform which is hung from the wall in the picture, and you do not incorporate that into your story, naturally it means that you've written a story away from the stimulus that was shown to you. Let's say the picture revolves around a marketplace or a railway station and your story does not talk about it. Naturally it means that you've written a story which is preconceived, पहले से ही सोच के आए थे और जो भी आपको पिक्चर दिखाई, you wrote that story. The second common mistake is that rather than creating a meaningful purpose or a need for your main character, you tend to create a problem for your main character. Let's say if there is a very busy marketplace shown, a lot of chaos is shown in that market, invariably candidates tend to make a story on some kind of an accident which has happened there. While the accident is not shown in the picture, they will say कहीं दुकान में आग लग गई, or they'll say कोई chain snatching हो गई. So all this is basically creating a problem. Now, if I were to create a meaningful purpose or a need in this story, I have to ask myself, let's say if I was living here, what are the kind of issues that I would face? Maybe meandering through this very busy marketplace is an issue for me. Let's say if I have a shop here and maybe I'm the shopkeepers association का union leader, and I find कि भाई इस marketplace में footfall कम हो गई. So naturally I need to do something so that the footfall in the marketplace improves. Maybe I'll have to improve or regulate the flow of traffic. Maybe I'll have to look at something to do with the parking space. Maybe I'll have to do with something to do with the the encroachment which the other shopkeepers have done. So all of this will help me improve the street so that more footfall will start happening in this particular market. So now this is a need or a meaningful purpose created by me rather than creating a problem. The next common mistake that you make is that the stories that you write are not really matching your mental age. These stories are not meaningful. They are very, very ordinary thoughts. Sometimes you just simply describe the picture. Picture में जो आपको दिख रहा है वो आप describe कर देते हो rather than creating a purpose or a need or an aim for your main character. So the ACET test for this is that once you've written the story, always ask yourself, could this level of an idea, could it have occurred to me when I was in class 4th or 5th? So naturally, if the theme that you've created is that low level, that the idea could have come to you when you were in class 4th or 5th, naturally it is not matching with your mental age. So make sure that the stories that you write are matching with your maturity, with your experiences, with your connection with the ambient environment in which you live. So it should also reflect your awareness level. So make sure that the stories that you write are of a slightly higher order purpose. So that is the next common mistake that you make. So the next thing that you got to keep in mind when you write your stories is that please do not write wishful stories. Wishful stories कौन सी होती हैं? Where you start from rags to riches. पहले कुछ भी नहीं था, अभी suddenly out of the blue something has happened to him. It doesn't happen like that. So if you say भाई पहले तो वो fail होता था, फिर उसने बहुत मेहनत करी and he topped class 12, then he went to IIT, then he went to NASA, then he went to moon. So you don't stop short of that. So these are very, very wishful stories. So write stories which are doable and which you feel are realistic when you write them. Next common mistake that you make is that you write stories which are not relatable to you. So you have read something about maybe organic farming in some story on the social media, or you talked about a smart home somewhere, you read about that, or you heard about digital India. So you tend to write such stories where you want to kind of show your knowledge by bringing out some hi-fi theme, but then you have very limited knowledge about that. So naturally the story that you write will be a very, very weak story. So always pick up themes where you can see yourself doing those things. So never pick up a theme about which you have limited awareness. Then naturally the story that you will write will be a very, very ordinary one, because naturally you won't be able to express as to how that meaningful purpose that you created was accomplished by the main character. So make sure that the stories or the themes that you pick up are something that you can very closely relate with. या तो आपने खुद एक्सपीरियंस करी हैं, या आपने वर्चुअल सेंस में कहीं एक्सपीरियंस करी हैं. Maybe you read it in a novel, or maybe you saw it in a movie. So you felt that, okay, this is something that even I could do. And the last common mistake that you make is that you tend to write stories which are, like from the fantasy. It is not really from the real world. So unless you write stories which are realistic, which are matching with the things which are happening around you, only then the story will be found valuable. And also make sure that the stories that you write are such where your basic attitudes, your value systems, your beliefs, they get highlighted. So it is not a story writing test. Through this, they are basically trying to look at your personality attributes. So if you are unable to project those, then the story has no meaning for the assessor. So किसी में आप अपना spirit of adventure दिखा रहे हो, किसी में आप अपनी caring nature दिखा रहे हो, किसी में आप अपना drive and determination दिखा रहे हो. So the idea of creating these themes and writing these stories is to highlight your personality attributes through the ideas that you've created and through the characters that you've created in the story. The assessor is able to figure out that. And the most important thing is, please make value-based stories rather than ordinary stories. Now, what are value-based stories? Those stories where, जैसे बोलते हैं, आपके संस्कार जिसमें नजर आए. वो चीज़ें जो डे टू डे लाइफ में हमारे पेरेंट्स ने, हमारे टीचर्स ने हमारे को सिखाई थी, those things should get highlighted through these stories. Let's say somebody has moved into your neighborhood. So if you talk about calling them over so that you could get to know them better and help them to settle down better, so that makes, shows that you're a person who likes to socialize, likes to connect with other people. Let's say a story where you're talking about the project manager called the other members of the team home so that he could get to know them informally, so that, at the workplace, their output became better. So now this also reflects that this person knows how important it is to gel with the team properly so that you're able to improve the output at workplace. So just giving you an example like that. Similarly, rather than making stories just about you and your family, family going out for having a good time or a quality time, or, let's say a teacher is teaching in the class, or let's say a postman is, delivering letters. Now, those are their jobs. They will do it. They are getting paid for that. So the stories that you write must talk about something where they did something beyond the call of their duty. Something that they did out of the ordinary. So that is what will make the stories value based. Now, rather than saying apni family ko ghumane le gaya, if you talk about, that under the corporate social responsibility, the multinational company in which he was working had adopted the slum area where, today there was the birthday of this child of the family that they had taken over or adopted. So they took the child out for a nice day to make his day very special, and how they, added value to his life. Now that becomes a value-based story. So just keep these basics in your mind when you're writing your stories, because these are some very common mistakes that you make when you write TAT as well as PPDT stories. So I hope you find this video valuable. Thank you so much.